Hey everyone, welcome back to Alf's Mustang Garage. Today we're back on the 66 Mustang Fastback doing the 289 conversion from a 6-cylinder. So today's video is about brake systems. So we got our coil spring right in here, the V8 coil springs. We got our upper control arm, we got our lower control arm, got all of our steering linkage in there. So we're gonna focus on getting your brake rotor on, the seals, the bearings, the caliper, all that stuff. And I'm gonna show you where you should buy the disc brake kits. Okay guys, brake kits. Number one most asked question that I see on forums and Facebook groups is, what disc brake conversion should I get for my classic Mustang? The answer, if you're not driving a race car, if you're not driving a car that's over 400 horsepower, the answer should be you need to get a disc brake kit from CSRP. Now, I bought and installed several different kits, from the Scott Drake to the Leeds. They all are pretty dang good kits, but as far as the best bolt-on DIY friendly kit that you can get is definitely the CSRP. And the biggest reason is your booster. If you're working on an early car like the 65 and 6 cars, you have limited clearance between your firewall and your shock tower, okay? The 67s have a little bit more room. So there's a lot of boosters out there that just don't offer the clearance. CSRP's booster has this really nice upgraded aluminum master cylinder with a little, mini reservoir, and it just makes it a very nice fit, very easy to install. So I'm just gonna, highly recommend these guys because we've been there, we've done that. We figured out what's good, what's not. These guys are the guys. Just another thing to add, like for some reason, when people ask the question about what disc brake kit I should use, the number one answer is Wilwood. Now Wilwood makes very good quality brake pads and brake systems and calipers, and they look really cool. But if you're just driving a cruiser car that's under 300 horsepower, it's a little overkill. These are factory style brakes. These are the Kelsey Hayes style brakes. They're 4-piston calipers. They do an amazing job. Okay, so I think for probably 90% of us out there with our cars, we just want to cruise them and be reliable, this is the brake kit. You don't need Wilwood brakes for your car that you're just gonna cruise around on the weekends. Okay, so first part in assembling your brakes is we have a backing plate. Now, one thing that seems to be pretty consistent when it comes to disc brake conversions is these backing plates that you get, they always need to be trimmed here and here to make clearance for the brake caliper. It seems to me like there's only one manufacturer that's stamping these reproduction backing plates out, and they haven't figured out that they need to trim off an extra 1/4 of an inch on each side. So we're gonna trim those before we even get started, because we just kind of generally know from experience that you have to do. Okay, so the easiest, most economical way to do this, get some metal trim shears, and you can just kind of trim off like maybe a 1/4 inch. What would you say, Justin? About a 1/4 inch?
About a 1/4 inch. See it roll off there.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna do a little trim. And a little trim.
Just like that.
Sometimes if you have a sharp edge, you can kind of go over that with some sandpaper to make sure it's not sharp. Okay, once you've trimmed your backing plate, we kind of just hit that, bare metal edge with a little bit of touch-up paint. That way it doesn't kind of rust out over time. But another reason why I like the CSRP kit is, you know, they come like already powder coated black, whereas most kits just kind of come in stainless. I kind of like this here. So, okay, so the bracket goes on first. So we're gonna put the caliper bracket on, the backing plate on. You have one of your bolts is longer than the rest. And that's for this position right here. It goes through the tie rod arm on the spindle. So then you got 4 nuts to go on the back side. Okay, another thing I like about the CSRP kit, he's going to supply you with a little bit of thread locker, okay? He's got 2 different kinds. We're going to want to put the red on the caliper bracket bolts right here, okay? He includes another set for the actual caliper mount itself. So we're just going to daub a little bit on here. Okay, so now that you have your caliper bracket and dust shield mounted on there, bolts all tight and thread locked on it, now you can pack your wheel bearings for this car. Oh, hi, Mike. Oh, hi, Mike. Oh, man. Okay, so you have new brake rotors. They typically will come with races installed, and then you just need to pack your bearings and install your inner bearing first and then the seal, and then you can install your rotor. Okay, so bearing pack, I like to get these little handy bearing baggers. You can probably, you know, pick these up at AutoZone or O'Reilly. Or if you want to do it the old school way, CSRP does send you a little tub of grease to pack your bearings, okay? I have my own little grease bagger, so we just throw our bearing in there and push down. And there she is, greased up. I do that a few times and get it really good and greased. Okay, so there she is, nice and greased up, and you can just set that right inside, like that. And this is kind of one of those things where it's okay to fill the void with some grease, because you want that to kind of get in everywhere as this vehicle is driving down the road. Okay, now your bearing is in there. Don't forget to put your bearing in first. And now we can put our seal in. Got my little seal driver kit here. And we're just gonna smack that right in. All right, you have your rotor set up with your bearing and seal. Essentially, it's now ready to install our spindle. I do like to coat the spindle with, you know, a fair amount of grease here. So I just kind of grab some like that and just go ahead and coat that. Okay. And we can go ahead and install our rotor. That. I have the outer bearing all packed and ready to go. Just like that. And all this comes in your kit. This doesn't come in most disc brake kits. So you have a thrust washer and a nut. Now what you are going to do next is you're going to set the preload on this bearing. This is hard to teach over film because it's kind of a feel thing. If it's too loose, you're gonna get an up and down feeling on your rotor, okay? Kinda like that. You can kinda hear it rocking back and forth. So I like to take it down. I actually kinda like to take it down a little tight. Just kinda roll it. And then I like to loosen it up. Now, CSRP kind of has all their detailed instructions as far as, you know, all the specifications on torque and whatnot. This particular setup here, there is a torque. For new bearings, you're about 17 to 25 foot-pounds. I do like to go a little bit tighter and then back it off a little bit. And you do this while you're turning the rotor. So you're gonna tighten it as you're turning it. And I get a little bit tighter. It's gonna feel tight, but it's all new. It's new bearings and everything. So they're gonna kind of wear in and break in. So I'm gonna back it off a hair. And that's where I like to set them. Okay, after you have that set, you know, again, it's kind of a feel thing in combination with that torque spec. You got your retainer and your cotter pin. So we'll get that on there. Bend that over. Okay, so one key thing to kind of keep note of, if you bend this cotter pin like that, it's gonna like make a noise, okay? But what you should do is rotate the cotter pin like this, and then you can rotate the cotter pin so it kind of holds that retainer in place like this. So you can get my massive hammer on this here. Mike, have you seen my claw hammer? There, now it kind of keeps your retainer in place, and that's how I like to do those. Final piece, got a little dust cap. I have a ball joint press cup that kind of fits that perfectly, and you just got to hit it with a and then she's in. Okay, so now you're ready for a brake caliper. So you're going to get supplied bolts in your kit. You're going to get supplied with a transfer tube in your kit and some thread locker. So let's go ahead and get our bolts kind of prepped and ready here. Well, these are different from side to side. Your bleeder screw you want on the outside of the edge of the car. Okay, so in case you skipped forward in the video and you didn't see us trimming the backing plate, if you did not trim it, you're probably going to be kind of a little irritated because your caliper is going to rub. So that's why I'm mentioning this again. You got to trim these backing plates, or else you got to take your rotor back off and take your backing plate back off and start all over. I mean, you know, technically have to start over. You could probably trim it from where it sits, but it's kind of nice to plan ahead. So, and again, all the torque specs and you know, information on how to do this whole thing is all downloadable from the CSRP website. Okay, so you got that bolted in, torqued down good. Now you gotta put your transfer tube on. Now these are not going to be just perfect go right in. You do kind of have to massage them a little bit. You also have to put it on correctly. So I like to get kind of one in, you know, maybe only a couple threads, and then kind of get the other one. See how it just kind of like is not quite there. You do have to kind of, I mean, this side's in, but this side, it's just, it gets you in the ballpark, but it's not going to be perfect. So you do have to kind of tweak them a little bit, massage it. And then depending on what wheel size you run, you may have to further massage it, because some 14-inch wheels can rub, and it's usually on the transfer tube. Okay, so once you have both your threads kind of started there, after all your massaging and whatnot, you just kind of get your wrench and kind of snug them up. I like to use these line wrenches. And then just FYI, they do have metric on these. Some of these kits are metric, so watch out for that. Get your 10mm out and you know, snug it up like that, and be careful. Where'd my 10mm go?
It's over here by your claw hammer.
Oh my gosh. Be careful with those 10mm, you'll lose them. Is that a car joke? It's a normal car joke, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, nice and snug like that. That's a feel thing. Sometimes you kind of have to work them back and forth to get that flare to kind of seal up. You'll obviously know if it's not sealed when you go to bleed this system, but again, you can always go back in and tighten these up more if it's kind of leaking. So you don't want to go too far and turn your righty-tighty into a righty-loosey. Okay, now you're ready for brake pads. This is like my favorite part about the Kelsey Hayes calipers. Your brake pads, just slide in like that. So if you ever need to change your brake pads, you do not have to remove the caliper. All you have to do is remove your retaining. They're just held in place by this little retainer. So it sure makes changing your brake pads in the future pretty dang easy. Okay, once you got those bolts started, I like to kind of turn my rotor and make sure like nothing's like rubbing or contacting here on this plate. So we'll just kind of snug these up. Yep. Everything's turning smooth. I don't got no metal rubbing on each other. And that's your caliper, pads, and rotor install. Okay, so now you're ready for a brake hose. So again, your kit like literally comes with everything. You have a really nice flexible hose. You have the copper washers. They even give you new little brake line brackets. You can just use the originals like how we're gonna do. But it literally comes with the little horseshoe clips and everything. Okay, get that on there and then we'll snug that up. Okay, we'll get her snugged up right there. Okay, now you can take that brake line, put her right in here. Let me get my hammer. There we go, just like that. Okay, well, I think that's gonna conclude today's video. Setting up your disc brakes, your rotor, your caliper, your bearings, your seals, your brake line, your pads. I'm super serious. I'm dead serious about like where you should buy these kits. I'm not sponsored by CSRP. It's just like the most complete and easy to do kit that you can find on the market today. Call Dennis. He's very friendly. He's very easy to work with. Tell him your car, what transmission you have, if you want power brakes, what year it is, all that kind of fun stuff. And you will get everything you need. The instructions are online. They're very detailed, all the torque specs and everything that I'm not gonna kind of bother with every single little detail in this video, but in combination with this and then calling him and getting his instructions, I'm pretty sure you can probably figure it out pretty good. So from here, you're gonna do the driver's side. It's gonna be the same setup on here, and then we'll do a separate video on doing the booster and the master cylinder and getting the whole system bled out and everything for you. So if you found the video helpful, give us a thumbs up. If you want to follow us along with these kind of builds and these jobs and things that we're doing, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Those little things do help us a lot when it comes to continuing to make more videos, which I hope are helpful for you guys. So with that being said, we'll catch you next time.